I'm gonna say one word, then Nastya, and then Luke is gonna say one word.
No, we're not doing that.
Nastya, you start.
Loving.
Meaningful.
Connection.
Bang.
Yeah, I think like during that month we talked about everything, like really intimate and personal stuff. And then when we met everyone after, it was really warm. Like it felt like you didn't really need to say, you didn't need to go through the small talk or anything. Everyone were just like hugging each other and yeah. So like personally, I think for me it was like you can create intimate connections or meaningful connections online without like meeting someone face to face.
Yeah, I think we'd already like gone through that collapsing that distance. I think the distance kind of brought us together, and we were kind of connected through that kind of shared disconnection that we're all knew was there right from the start, and because that was kind of foregrounded, I think everyone was kind of trying that a little bit harder, or was kind of mindful of everyone else, and also, you know, having that slight delay, it gave the space for people to like really listen, and actually, yeah, listen to what each other was saying, what the different perspectives in the room were going on were, and it was a real mix of people from all walks of life, and yeah, I think I really learned that if you give the space for community to build, it will build right away.
For sure. Like right away, I think of Shama, because Shama's first things that she said to me, I asked her, like, we were playing some stupid ass question game just to like eat up time with people in there who weren't trying to connect, but because some people would come in to like show me the art kind of vibe, you know, and they expected to see
like,
art.
What is this about?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well,
they didn't realize they were a part of it, so it was sort of like this. They were looking at it objectively as opposed to being involved. And so they would come in and, you know, they'd ask questions like, is it snowing? You know, it's fucking winter, we're in Lapland. You know, are you eating food? Like they're talking to a 3D graphic or something. So you get past those questions, and that shit's kind of annoying. And then I remember, like, to get past that, I would start asking questions like fishing, right? Like you're fishing, you bring people in. So some of the questions I would ask would be like, you know, what's your most embarrassing moment or whatever. And so Shama came in, and the question that I asked Shama, she was in there for maybe 10 minutes, just silent. And I saw her sort of in the corner, and I remember saying, like the questions came around, and I said, well, you know, if you could have a superpower, what would you want to have? And she said, I just don't want to be shy. And then, like, that was day one. And then week 2, like, Shama's a different human being. And then Shama would just start coming in to, like, relinquish information about her life. And she said that when, like, towards the end, she started saying that, like, life out there got much easier for her to deal with because she was sort of, like, rehearsing how to communicate in the cabin with us, and she wasn't so shy. I mean, this is, like, that's just one situation. But there was a guy named, and I don't want to eat up the whole thing, but Miko. Miko would come in. Miko's like a 40-year-old like telemarketer, so he had to go to work every day at like, you know, 12 before lunch. And so he would come in, he'd hang out with us for like maybe 10 minutes to talk about dreams. And he made promises to us. He would say things like, I promise to come in here every day. I'm on a diet. I need to tell you this so that I am held accountable to my diet because I have sleep apnea. So he would come in and like tell us what he ate just to sort of keep track of us, you know? And that's like a really sweet thing for his 40-year-old father of 3, you know, to come in and like keep track with you about his diet. And you would see him every morning. It's fucking beautiful, you know?
And sometimes it was really voyeuristic, like when people were like, someone would be like, I need to tell this to Shia, or look, I have to tell you I have a crush on you or something. And you're just like, you're kind of there and you're like, oh, okay. And or like when the cabin turned like inside and they forgot we were there and they started to share like what you said earlier.
Yeah.
And then it just felt like we don't even like need to be there.
Yeah.
And then something would change, of course, and like then we would be part of it again. But those were really interesting moments. And I think like for me also was more about the presence of people, and then like some people will give you energy, like when you're like really tired about to be like, and then like you would come in and be like, hey, let's play there, or like something like that, that you're like, oh yeah. Or like, or if you're tired of like this energy, then people would come and there would be like really deep conversation about something else. It was like really balanced in that way.
But also the willingness for everyone to like get tired together. Like there was, we all knew. Actually, I think there was the kind of thing that everyone appreciated was that it's rare to have time with other people where you know the other people all have time. Like, we're there all day, we're there for a month, and everyone who wants to be in that cabin is there for as long as is needed. And it kind of released the pressure for, like, you know, something better happen in the next 10 minutes, otherwise I'm leaving. Yeah. There were those people as well, but
you're right.
I think those people, you know, they would be first in the morning, the regulars, and they would be like, yeah, well, you know, explaining to people who poke their head in, yeah, sometimes nothing happens for an hour. You know, that's how it works.
That's how life works. It's not like exciting all the time, or like you don't have great conversation all the time. You get like tired or bored or something sometimes. So I think especially because we were there like from 10 until 8:30, you had these moments where you crash, and then you had these moments where you like got energy again. And the people like in the cabin had the same thing.
Yeah, kind of mutual appreciation that we've all invested that time in it. I like the idea that it kind of created a sense of inside that cabin there's some kind of intensity going, something going on, but you only kind of glimpse kind of fragments of it. You really don't know exactly what's going on. You see people going in, you see it. A lot of people going in, you know, there's a lot of people in that cabin maybe. And even the moments, I'm imagining, you know, when nothing was being typed, but you kind of know there's a lot of people in there. It creates this kind of intensity, which I think is quite, I find kind of a romantic idea in itself, but also it draws other people in. We had people who'd been watching all month who came on the last few days saying, you know, I've been watching this at work, I've had it on in the background all month, and I just had to come to know, you know, picked up fragments of, you know, these really deep conversations.
The other half. And it was really interesting because it was like, of course they were teenage girls. I was like really wonderful to connect with them. They are really, you know, amazing people, amazing stage of life. But anyway, they were also like, you know, older women with like babies, and then there were men, and it was quite a variety actually.
Yeah, you'd have people skipping school while in a room with a teacher from their school, which is fucking crazy. Yeah. So then you have, it's fine. I'll write you a note. You know, that's a trip. You know, memorable moment. Yeah, memorable moment. I don't know if I have one.
I think we've done that.
My most memorable moments weren't like a specific moment. My most memorable moments were presents, like when like Laura, full attention span when the room it collapsed in on itself, and we were sort of at the behest of the room and sort of like outsiders. I mean, we never were, but like we weren't hosting anymore. Yeah. That's when the shit got really cool for me.
Mine was Mine was the vibe when everyone like knew each other, and then they were kind of supporting each other and like having coffees later, and the whole community that was built within a month. So that like was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but the moment when I suddenly realised, oh, yeah, we've got a real community here. This has just happened. And there was definitely a tipping point.
For sure. Middle of second week.
Yeah. And yeah, that was just, it felt like the work had been somehow, you know, we'd laid some kind of foundations or framework for it, but it had been completed at that point. Not in terms of the work had ended, but it'd become a full.
Yeah, the room took ownership.
Yeah. The space became full. Even when there was no one there, once that community had built, the space felt full. It didn't feel like it was waiting for people to come in anymore. It felt like it's.
And scene.